point of recording?
First off, it's really exciting to play as an ensemble. I really appreciated your attention to detail. And it's nice to check. It's obvious that you had spent some time doing this because you have a director next to your telling you. So you've been thinking about it, right? What's the hardest part about doing that? What challenges you the most to make that happen? What? No, about thinking together. What is the most challenging part of that for you? Keeping the tempo? Did you accomplish that? I think you did. Excellent work, Zach. Really, you drive the band, you set them up, all the things you need to do. So that's really an important thing because often when a band gets going and it becomes exciting, everything starts to like mushroom, it gets quicker and quicker. So if you can all keep that focus, that really is an important element. A couple of things, just small things. I could use, this is odd for me to say this, I could have used more guitar. You're doing the right things, you're not playing out of, the sound is right, what you're comping is right, just a little bit more would have helped, okay? Rhythm section, when you started the second tune, it was a little dicey, only because everything else was so much stronger. Can you start the second tune for me again? So it switches piano player, right? Fine. You know what I mean by that? It wasn't bad, it's just everything else was like spot on, and now we've got a little thing there. And when you're, is it Catherine, is that right? You got to say to me, the first acoustic bass player, that's great, okay? When you're playing, you have to say this, always working out on your pitch and intonation. Make sure when you hit it, it's spot on as you can do that, okay? So I'll let you start. Okay, good. Can you do it without clipping the hi-hat before you start? There you go. All right. The other thing that demonstrates is you're looking at each other. All right. Now, it's impossible, unless you're superhuman, unless you got eyes back here, you wish you could do that. So it was me. I try to, sometimes when you come to a festival, you have to set up the way it's set up. Do you set up this way when you play? Pretty close? I would try to find a way, because you're part of the rhythm section too, right? I would try to find a way to make sure you all have eye contact all the time. And you did look at each other when you're playing. Some groups, that's not something they do very easily. In your case, it seems to be more natural. But with you, it's kind of hard, because that way if something does go a little funny, which it didn't, but if it does, you can look at each other. Like I said, with the ensemble, everything was really excellent. The saxophones, you got to be careful on the saxophone. When you're playing, that when the brass plays so strongly that you don't try to do more than what you can do. You dig what I mean? You get to that point where it's like, if I play any louder, it's going to sound ugly and it's going to be out of tune. Always got to have a nice sound, always has to be in tune. It's easier for you, and if you play together, you will project. It won't be a problem. I had no trouble. One of the great things was the harmonies when you're playing, I can hear the flute without a microphone. That's great. Great for her because she's projecting, and great for you because you're listening and balancing it out. The solos were very nice throughout too. I like what you're doing. Hopefully everybody's soloing, right? Not just the 4 or 5 you got to do. Yeah? Well, if not, you need to start doing that. Because that, if one thing will make the band better, it will be that. If you're all soloing and you learn how to improvise, it will make everything much stronger. I really enjoyed watching that because you did 3 swing numbers in a row, which is good. And I'm watching the saxophones. You're tapping on 2 and 4. You're not doing it in a funny way. It was like, all right, they're actually feeling the time. The one last thing, when you did your solo on the last piece, on the second piece, all right, everything was going okay, but it seemed like there were 3 pieces. Like when you did the intro, the band came in, and then when you did your solo in the middle. You need to find some way as you're playing, and this is difficult to do because it takes maturity, and time, and just working together. Do you practice as a rhythm section without the band? You do. Good. When you're soloing, you got to find a way of building the solo out. You got to find a way to conceive of playing, improvising, and this goes for you too, at other pianists. When you're playing, that you have the same intensity that a arranger would have with the band, when there's layers coming on, and that you start off maybe more sparse, so that you have more to go when you want to build up the intensity. So when you go from this small configuration, which was happening, to this coming in, there's not like a break. It wasn't really a break, but it could have blended more. I think once you think about that, it'd be much more exciting. All right? It was great hearing you play. Thank you.
Great job. Let's hear it again for the Downers North Jazz 1.